What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do a new gun review, and what we got today is the Sig Sauer P320 M18. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's check it out. Okay, now first and foremost, I did buy this pistol used. The gentleman that was selling the gun said he barely even used it. He said he only shot about 1 box of bullets through it, and it's been kept in the case ever since. So he did send me some pictures. I verified that everything was good, and I went ahead and bought the gun. So it did come with this M18 patch. We'll set that aside. It did come with 3 magazines. I got one 17-round magazine here, and it does tell you on the side over here, it holds up to 17 rounds right there. And then it came with 2 larger magazines, which hold up to 21 rounds, which is notated right there. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the Sig Sauer M18. So as you can see here, there's no magazine and there's no bullet in the chamber. So we have verified that this gun is completely unloaded and completely safe. Good to go. So if we just take a closer look at the gun overall, this is the flat dark earth M18 Sig Sauer P320. I like the flat dark earth color. Most of my guns are all black, so I was kind of excited to get something that had a little bit of different color to it. I like the two-tone look of the tan and the black accents. I thought that was pretty cool. So let's just start off with a few basic things. The grip. The grip texture here, I'd say, is mid-aggressive. It allows you to get a good grip on the gun, but it is a little bit of a thicker grip. So if you have smaller hands, this grip might be a little chunky for you, but again, anybody with big hands, it's probably not going to make a big deal. It has a little cutout right here. I don't know if you can see that indentation, but that's a nice cutout to where you can kind of put your thumb. It has a little bit of a beaver tail in the back here, so you can really get a good purchase on it and get your hand up in there nice and high. So that's pretty nice. And it has a little bit of a hump in the back, but it fills the hand pretty good, and I really like how it feels overall. Now, the trigger guard. It is pretty comfortable right here, but I would have liked to see that cut out a little higher so that my middle finger here can kind of get up in there a little higher. So it is good, but there is a little room for improvement at the cutout on the bottom of your trigger guard. It does have this squared off, almost flat front with these lines in here, which is primarily used for some people out there. They take their support hand index finger and they'll wrap it around the front. So being that I'm right-handed, I'll hold the gun like this, but I could take my other hand and get my finger around the front if I wanted. I don't really do that, but there are people out there that like to get their finger on the front. So for those of you that do, it does have that little groove there that allows you a little bit of room in the front to grab. It does have a very nice responsive mag release. So if we just grab a mag here, again, all the mags are empty. Slide it in. The mags come out nice and easy. The button has a nice spring load to it. Feels pretty good. Now, if we grab one of the larger magazines here, again, empty. That's what those look like. So they do stick out the bottom a little bit, but I think it looks pretty cool. And again, the mag release works just as good with those as well. It does have a small Picatinny rail here on the bottom. So if you want to run a rail light or a laser or some other optic, you can. It does have some slide serrations on the front and back. So you can get a good purchase on that slide for racking the gun. Or if you're just doing a quick press check like that, whichever way you use these serrations, they do feel pretty good. They allow some good grip without feeling like you're cutting your fingers, so they feel pretty good. So as far as the slide serrations go, they look awesome and they function really well and they feel pretty good in the hands. It does have a nice takedown lever here that's pretty streamlined, so it doesn't stick out real far. So depending on the size of your hands, if you have your kind of thumbs sitting like that, it doesn't really get in the way and push on your inner thumb or feel uncomfortable. It just feels pretty good, and I like how slim it is. Now, they do have some aftermarket takedown levers here. A lot of times they might be called a gas pedal or something like that, which are very predominant. They're just big and bulky, and it allows your thumb a place to rest. But again, I got big hands, so how I hold my gun, my thumb is already further than this takedown lever. So one of those gas pedals is probably not best suited for me, but for some people out there that have maybe smaller hands, those little gas pedal takedown levers are pretty nice. Now your slide lock right here is pretty nice. So you can go ahead and slide it up and lock your slide back. Feels pretty good. It allows you to drop it back down. And one thing I do like about this is this little guard right here. The Sig Sauer M18 grip module has this little raised shelf around your slide lock. So when you have a good purchase on the gun, your thumb doesn't accidentally push down on it. It could cause an accidental lock back like that. So I do like that. Another thing that this gun has, which is one of the big differences between the M18 and the standard P320, is a manual safety. So it is ambidextrous here, so you have the safety on either side. The same thing with your slide lock here. You could do it from the right side or the left side. But the safety works pretty good. It feels pretty good in the hand. It works really well. Trigger is locked. There you go. Now real quick, if you look deep on the internet, you will find that when the Sig Sauer P320 first came out many years ago, there were some people claiming that it would fire if it was dropped in a specific way. Now, I'm not saying that those misfires did not happen. I'm just saying that it only happened a couple of times, but it was enough for Sig Sauer to do a manual recall. If you had a P320 that was purchased a long time ago, they might have been able to swap it out with a new model. But since then, any of the newer P320s already have whatever they fixed on it fixed. And there are many professional shooters out there that have reviewed this gun who have never had the gun go off unintentionally. So I feel pretty safe with this gun, but that is a good reason to have a manual safety. If you have your manual safety on, the gun will not shoot. Now, looking across the top, the sights. The sights are okay. I'm not going to get into all of the technical specs. They're pretty much just basic sights. They do light up a little bit. Front white dot here is a little bit more visible, so it's not that bad for shooting. So as far as the sights go, they work for me. This is the carry edition, so it only has about a 4-inch barrel, but as you can see here, it fits really good in the hand. My pinky has a full grip on that grip, and it is a very comfortable gun to hold. Now, one of the coolest features about the P320, whether you get a standard P320 or the M18 or the M17, the P320 is a modular gun. What that means is that you could take your slide off and buy different custom lower grip modules. So if you want to go with a smaller grip, a full-size grip, so if you want to swap this out for a more custom looking grip, you can, because the actual serial number of the gun is part of the inside that can be taken out and put into a newer, lower module. Now, with that said, there are a couple companies out there that make them, and I did order the Wilson Combat grip module in all black because I'm trying to build a two-tone black and tan pistol. So if you're interested in seeing that Wilson Combat grip module, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel because I will be doing a video on that very soon. Now, let's talk about the trigger. The trigger is a little spongy. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when you pull the trigger, this factory trigger does not really have a crisp break. It has more of a spongy break, but it feels good. And the reset is actually pretty good. We'll pull the trigger. It's a very short pull. There's not much travel in this trigger, but it's still pulled in. So when I cock it again, you let out just a little bit, and there's your reset, and right there is your pull again. So it's a very, very short distance. So depending on your shooting style, I just wanted to point that out. But it does feel good in the hand. I'll have to shoot the gun a little bit to get a better feel for the trigger, but just dry firing it, it feels a little spongy, but it feels good. And let me just show you how to take it apart real quick. So it's very simple. Pull your slide back, lock it with your slide lock button, and you can see right here, there's a little arch that's cut out in the slide. That's because your takedown lever here has to rotate clockwise. I like to just pull the slide back with one hand, but you can do whatever you want. But once you find that right spot, you slide that all the way back like that. Once that slides back, your slide pops right off the front. And then to take this apart, you could go ahead and just pull out this takedown lever here. You just pull it straight out, and then you just kind of rotate it till it pops out. Now that you got your slide taken off the top, what you want to do is make sure your safety is not on. You want the safety down so that your trigger has some flexibility. Then you're going to just lift up on the front tabs here. If they're too tight for your fingers to grab, just like that, you could use a screwdriver, lift that up. Now, because the safety is off, there is a little flexibility in that trigger. So you're just going to keep lifting it straight up and your whole inner system right here pops out. What's crazy to think, this right here is the M18 gun. This is the legal portion of this gun. All this is a plastic polymer grip module. You could buy different modules and put this trigger assembly into those modules and change how the gun feels. But that's it. Take apart the top here. You're going to take your spring here, push forward, pop that out, pop your barrel out, and that's pretty much about it. Now, if you ever want to take your plate off here, maybe replace your sights, or you want to put a red dot on there, you have to take apart this whole bracket first to get to the two holes here on the bottom. Here's what you want to do. You want to take a screwdriver. You see that little black button right there? You want to take a screwdriver on there or anything sharp, and you're going to push down on it because you have to pull this little pin out the back. Now, just so you know, this little black piece right here, I'm touching, under this plate, there is a spring, so you need to be very careful with that. So what I usually do is I'll hold that in my hand like this, then you press down on that button there, press it in, and start to slide this little slide right here, slide that out. So hold that in, slide that out. Now it doesn't shoot out at you, but right here, but you see how like the right side is longer than the left side? So when you're putting it back in, you want the shorter cutout notch to be on the inside. You want the longer part to go on the outside. So we're going to set that down. Now once you take your spring load bracket out here, this little piece here on the side will fall out. Now at this point, right here, that hole right there and that hole right there, there's a little Allen screw down in there. And I believe those bolts in there are a 332, so you'll need a 332 Allen wrench to get those out. So we're gonna grab our 332 Allen wrench. Again, you're always gonna keep your finger on that top plate, okay? Don't let that go. Stick your wrench down in there, break your bolt. Get that in there real quick. Okay, so I'm holding that top plate in my hand. And then I'll take my other finger and hold the sights, because these screws are holding in the rear sight. But the rear sight is holding down that top plate. So you pretty much have to hold them all together. Okay, the two screws fell out. Now, holding the top plate, I can remove my rear sight. Now, before you take your top plate off, you see that little black button right there where my thumb is? Hold that, okay? Then gently lift your top plate off, okay? Because right under there, there's a little spring. I don't think I can get you in there to see it. You can sort of see it down in there, but right under there is a spring. So if I would take my thumb off of there, it could fall out. Now, it's not hard to put back in, but that little spring is so tiny. If you don't see where that spring falls off at, you're screwed. So keep your thumb on there until you take it off. This right here is how you get access to changing your rear sights or putting on a red dot optical. Now, I'm not doing that today, but I just wanted to show you how to take down this gun for cleaning and for maintenance. So to put it all back together, take your top plate with the little holes in the back, slide it forward, lock it in, drop it in place. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take our rear sight, drop that in, hold it with our hand, take our screws, drop them in, take our Allen wrench, tighten it down. So now that we have that in there, now this part right here can slide out too. It just slides right out like this. Okay, but you just slide it back in the same way you slid it back out. Okay, now what you want to do is slide your back plate on. What you want to do is this little piece right here, press down with your finger and just slide that in just a little bit. Just like that. Not all the way, just a little bit, okay? Then you want to take this little part right here, See how it has this little round cylinder here in the back? Just drop it in just like that. Okay? And then you're going to hold that with your finger while you take this piece right here. Remember, the longer side here goes on the right side of the gun. Drop that in there. Once that's in there, that spring-loaded part we just slid in is what puts tension on this. So now that we have that, we're going to take our screwdriver, press down, slide our plate back in position, release, and we're good to go. Now you can take your barrel, slide that in, take your rod. Now you see how it's like oval shaped? You want the longer oval to go up and down. So you're going to face it in like that. Press it in, just like that. Okay? So you want the taller oval sticking up taller, just like that. That's how you take apart your slide. Now, let's go ahead and put our gun back together. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with the back first. Slide that down in there, and then take your finger in here where the trigger is, pull the trigger until it pops through the bottom there, slide it back into position. That's simple. Then you're going to take your takedown lever, you're going to stick it in, and just kind of wiggle it back and forth until you can get it in there. Once you rotate it in position, keep it flat, horizontally like that, push it all the way in until it goes flush across on the opposite side, and now your takedown lever is reinstalled. Remember, take your takedown lever and slide it all the way clockwise like that. Then take your slide it on, lining up these brackets here with those grooves right there. Lock it in with your slide lock. Take your takedown lever here, slide it forward. You're back to normal. So there you go. That's how you field dress the Sig P320 M18. So let's go ahead, grab some ammo, let's go shoot a few targets and try out the Sig P320 M18. So we're gonna walk up here a little closer to the 15 yards, and I have 3 magazines, and I put 10 rounds in each magazine. So I'm not just gonna fill up all 3 magazines and blow through a bunch of ammo, because again, this is my first time shooting the gun, so I wanna take my time and actually pay attention to the shots, get a feel for the gun, and get a feel for the sights before I start blowing through ammo. So I have some goggles on, I have some ear protection, and we're gonna be shooting at about 15 yards, and we're gonna be shooting the Sig P320 M18 for the very first time. So let's give it a try. Top left, top right, middle gong, left, bottom. I'm getting more used to the sights, but so far the gun feels pretty good in the hand and the trigger does feel pretty good. So pretty happy with that so far. So let's go ahead and shoot another 10 rounds and see how it goes. Bottom right. Bottom left, top left, top right, bottom right, middle, bottom, bottom left. There you go. Let's go up here and take a closer look. So, all right, that's good. I didn't break it. I thought I actually shot the cable and broke it. It just fell off. So yeah, so I was hitting pretty good at about 15 yards. Okay, so I just shot 50 rounds through the Sig Sauer P320 M18. And I gotta say, for my very first time shooting this gun, it feels really comfortable. Again, magazine's empty. Okay, safe distance away, gun is empty. So my initial impressions, it feels really good in the hand. I was a little worried about the trigger at first because it feels a little spongy. Now I know there are some aftermarket triggers you could get for this, but I want to stick with this trigger for a little while longer before I think about swapping out the trigger. But it does feel good. It's just different. I'm used to a Glock trigger. I also have an HK VP9 that has a really good trigger. This trigger just feels different. It's not bad, it's just a little spongy. It doesn't feel like it's super snappy, and it shoots good. Again, I think it's pretty accurate. I just have to get used to the sights. Now again, I might be putting a red dot sight on here, but for any of you that have a red dot on your gun, whether it's this M18 or some other handgun,
leave a comment in the section to let me know what you think about it, because I've never used a red dot before, and I'm thinking about adding one on this gun to try it out. So if you're a red dot person on your pistols, let me know in the comments what you think of them, because I might be considering trying one myself. I also probably will be buying a rail light for this, so stay tuned for that. But overall, my initial impressions of the Sig Sauer P320 M18, I really like this gun. My everyday carry has been an HK VP9. I love that gun, but I gotta say, this one is really cool. It feels really good in the hands, and it shoots well. I'm really happy with it. Now, just for fun, I did go ahead and order the Wilson Combat grip module for the M18. I have that coming in the mail, so as soon as it comes in, we'll swap out the grip and we'll try out the Wilson Combat grip module to see if it's any better than the stock M18 grip. I heard it is. It looks awesome on the gun. I went with the all black one, so it creates a two-tone black and brown look, so I'm pretty excited by that. But overall, and I mean this with all honesty, I bought this gun. This gun wasn't given to me. It wasn't lent to me. This is my personal gun. I've been a Glock fanboy for years. I've shot Glocks for many years, and I still like Glocks, don't get me wrong. I still have a Glock 23, but I did switch away from Glock because I wanted to try out other guns and see what else is out there. But I've been really eyeing up this M18. I like the flat dark earth look on it. I like the overall look. It looks really cool. And I like that it's a modular gun, meaning you could buy different grips, you could swap out parts, and I'm excited to play around with it. But again, initial impressions, I really like it, and I'm really happy with this purchase. So if you're thinking about buying a P320, whether it's the standard P320 or the M18 version, and you're on the fence, don't worry about it. Buy the gun. It's an awesome gun. You're going to love it. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope this video helps some of you out. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button and like this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, because it definitely helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you all. And as always, see you in the next video.